pieces. You don't want to be running on slippery floors. Notice the second one goes in the exact same way. Once again with that twisting motion. It really shouldn't be this difficult. I don't know why I was struggling so much that day, but it should go in pretty smooth. Notice once again there's a little bit of a ridge in there. It's not only is it flat inside, it's actually in about a few centimeters there. So make sure you can see that ledge. Nothing should be sticking out or flat, and there's a reason for that. The next piece we're putting in has to go in. That piece that we put in makes it completely flat, so make sure it's in there maybe a quarter of an inch or so. These pieces also require some of that gel. So next, after you put the two big pieces in, you want to put these two small white ones. So that's really your second step. First step is put in the big pieces. Second step, put in the white pieces. I'm kind of skipping a step here. I'm putting in those metal pieces right in with them. So you can go ahead and do that. That's not a problem. Notice the way I'm putting them in. I'm putting the two, it's kind of making a peace sign. I'm putting the two pieces facing up and the smaller one down. There's a reason for that. When we put the glass piece in, there's a little metal rod that has to come up. Notice they're flat. I was able to put my hand in there. It's completely flat. Nothing should be sticking out. It should be exactly like this. Alright, now we're ready for the glass piece, being very careful once again. And this can use a lot of that grease as well, that petrol gel, especially around the O-rings, and even a little bit on the glass part as well. That's fine. Make sure you know which side you're putting it in on. You don't want to be putting it upside down. That'll be really confusing. It just slides right in. Immediately put those nuts back on top. You never want to let that thing could slide right off and could crack again. So make sure you put, notice I'm not tightening them, I'm just spinning them on loosely. Now I'm going to make them tight. Notice I'm showing you how to use the paper towel. You really don't need it when you're tightening it. It's better when you're loosening. It has to be incredibly tight, or else water is going to come leaking through, and then you're going to have ice cream, and it's a total mess. So if you're running the machine and you see ice cream and stuff leaking out the front, don't freak out. Just tighten everything well.
It's important to notice that we're going around it. We don't tighten one up all the way and then the other one all the way, but we go around tightening, just like you'd put a spare tire on.
Exactly. You want to do each one a little bit at a time. Alright, so now you got that glass piece on. Our next step would be to put in these three white pieces. Now notice, before we get started, well, I'm actually putting the grease on each one. Notice the one in the middle is different. It's got an O-ring on the side as well. It's kind of hard to see from the video here, but see the difference? That one has to go in the middle. The other two can go on either side. Now the one in the middle, it doesn't really matter which direction you put it in, and you really can't see this unless you're doing it in real life. But notice there's a flat part on the very top of this piece. See how it's flat there with the machine? You want the flat part to be facing the very back. If you can zoom in there, you can kind of see it. This one, it really doesn't matter as long as one of the skinny parts is facing out. And you'll notice that, I mean, you'll know if you did it wrong, if the handles won't fit in there. Sometimes it's a little tough to get that in there. You want to use your hand, kind of make a fist, and use that top pointer finger to hammer it up in there. Once again, see the flat piece? It's kind of making a semicircle there. A little hard to see on the video, but you want that flat end to be going on the back. Next, you want to start putting in the handles. Fit the first one in there and put that rod. Work that rod slowly. And you only need to put them one at a time. If you try to put all together, the rod's going to fall back out. So make sure you've got that white piece up enough to where the handle's going to fit around it. Put the first one in. Make sure you're not putting the rod through the space, or else you'll never get the next handle in. Put the next handle in. And a way to tell if the handle's in or not is if it's able to lift up. So then you're able to put the next part of the rod in. Looks like I was struggling a little bit there. Sometimes you got to make sure that white piece is up the whole way. Now we've got that last one. Notice even with the crack it still works. So it's just a good lesson for all of us. Notice it's sticking out at the end here. That has to be like that. And this end is flat. it aims down. And you're ready to go. Next we'll be putting in the sanitizer. And I'm sorry, one more piece. These 3 little pieces have to go in. Notice it's a certain way they go in. If you try it backwards, it's not going to work. So make sure you're putting it in the right way. It's pretty self-explanatory. Those keep the ice cream from coming out to look weird. If those aren't in right, your ice cream's going to look a little strange. Alright, that's it. Next we're going to put the sanitizer in, and then you're ready for your ice cream.